Welcome to the Press Box Podcast. My name is Dave Nichols of the Spokesman-Review. We are joined today by the Spokane Indians' brand new manager, Tom Sutaris. He's not new to the team. He's been with the club the last couple of years, but is taking over for Robinson Cancel as field manager. Tom, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this because I'm reading your bio. Is this the first time you've been field manager?
Yes, in professional baseball. Yes, sir.
Awesome. How excited are you about that? About to get started? I know you're at spring training now, so let's just talk about your excitement of taking over as bench boss.
No, I'm really excited because I do feel like I have some natural leadership qualities that I've, used in different aspects and I've been studying it my whole life. And yeah, I've been a head coach at different levels before. So I think it's just a matter of putting that all into play and obviously it's a different level. So I'll have a learning curve and there'll be mistakes, but I'm confident in the culture we can create and the team we're going to bring out to Spokane this year.
Um, you've previously served as bench coach and as hitting coach here in Spokane. And I've seen you've had other stops as a hitting coach. So that is your primary point of focus. But now you're having to deal with the pitchers from in a whole different light as well.
Yeah, well, I got to do a lot of that last year in the bench coach role, helping Robbie out, and I learned quite a bit about it. And I'm going to continue to learn more about it. But obviously, I've been around the game a long time. These
Mhm.
gray hairs will tell you how long I've been around. So, yeah, I've seen enough baseball in my life, and I've been around it. I just haven't been in this position before to make these decisions. But I've made these decisions mentally for many years, and
Mhm.
you manage games along, and we when you're in the game this long, I don't think you watch games anymore as a fan. You watch them as a coach. You make
Right.
decisions, and sometimes you're like, I wouldn't have done that, or hey, that was a pretty good decision. Maybe I would have made it that differently. But I
Mhm.
think we're always like trying to make decisions about the game. It's in our blood, and you know, my mother, it's funny, God rest her soul. She would tell me all the time, hey, you're not going to just play baseball your whole life. And here I am at 56 years old, still in the game of baseball. So you got a lot of things right that one, maybe not so much.
Right. Well, that's testament to you. Obviously, that's it's hard to make a career in professional baseball. Um, it's what do you have you had a chance to contemplate what your managerial style will be? Because obviously, Robbie was was always willing to let guys run. He put plays on a lot. Have you thought about what your style, your strategy is going to be?
Yes, we're still learning a little bit about what our front office is looking at, but I think it's good for me. It's going to always be aggressive baseball. I love the way Robbie ran a team. I thought he did a really nice job, and we're continuing going to be aggressive. And obviously, it depends on the personnel you get every time.
Hmm.
But I believe aggressive baseball. You got to win 90 feet offensively, and defensively, you got to prevent 90 feet. And
Right.
obviously, the hits are going to take care of themselves in that part of the game and the pitching, but I believe in playing aggressive baseball and I think the big thing for us is we really want to prepare like professionals. Our goal is to help these kids perform here in Spokane, but more importantly, we want to see them help them eventually in Denver.
Mhm.
That's not to discount what we're doing this year, but like we have to look at the ultimate goal. Like how is he going to help our team in Denver, bring a World Series? So
And,
that's what we're going to always work towards developing guys that are going to make an impact at the highest level of the game.
and sometimes that's a fine line to walk, right? It's a you want to win, and part of development is teaching guys how to win and becoming winners. But the other thing is, there's the development aspect of it, and maybe you want to move a guy from center field to right field, or you want to move a guy from third base to first base, and sometimes fans lose perspective that hey, it's a Spokane on the front of their chest, but they've all got Rockies warm-ups in their locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's part of it. It's development. But I think you have to learn how to win as well, and I think that's what we've really done a good job. Obviously we had the championship run in 2024, which was tremendous, and
Hmm.
I think those guys learned how to play in high level games, and competitive games and finding ways to win games. I mean, if you look back at that season, the number of bunts we got down was just incredible. Like if we needed a bunt, it was done. If we needed a
Mhm.
big hit, guys got it done. And I think there's something in that. I think guys perform better when they're playing to win games because ultimately it's funny when you have a good season, guys look back and say, "Man, I had a pretty good year," but like your team won.
Mhm.
As opposed to a game where you're down 7 runs and you're 0 for 3, and now like you're thinking, "Hey, I need a hit for me," and it's really hard
Yeah,
to play the game like that because it's so hard. But when you play for basically your brothers in that locker room. It's something special, and I think we're going to play competitive, but we also have to develop. You know, we have to have teaching points. It might work here, but hey, that's not a play we're going to do as we go up the ladder. Like it's always teaching, and I
sure.
think communication is a key with that.
Um, we've seen in the last couple of years, in since the restructuring of the minor leagues, that Spokane's a lot closer to the big leagues than it used to be when we were short season. There was a lot of, maybe someday 5, 6, 7 years down the road, but now we've got guys that played for the Indians last year that made their big league debut.
Yeah, and even with that, even just from high A to the big leagues now it's going a lot quicker for guys. Like the development, it's like the big leagues are getting younger and younger. Those veteran guys that were, keep getting re-signed and hanging on, or like it's like they're kind of getting phased out, and these young
Hmm.
kids are getting pushed along quicker. And so I think it only accelerates what we have to do down here in terms of the teaching process, and that's what I'm really excited about. Like so, my background is I spent 10 years in the classroom as a teacher before and I was a high school coach, and then I was a
Hmm.
college coach, and I've been a professional coach. Like that
I was going to ask
teacher
you
in
about that
me.
gap in your resume.
No, there's a lot of, I mean,
Yeah,
it was always working, I can tell you that much, and
yeah.
it was always around baseball. But there's a lot of different levels that I've been at in the game, but it's always been about teaching. Like I love teaching, and it's funny being a classroom teacher for those early years. Like after, I coached some college ball, and then I went back into the classroom. I learned so much about how to teach, how to reach different kids, and I
Hmm.
think that's like sometimes a missing ingredient in coaching. Like coaching and teaching are the same thing. Like
Hmm.
you have to figure out, hey, this kid learns in a different way. How do I connect with this guy whose brain works totally different? And in ours, there's language barriers, there's cultural
Hmm.
barriers, and you have to just find ways to connect with them. And I feel so blessed that I had that opportunity to be a classroom teacher because I think has made me a better teacher here. But we have to teach every single day. We have these kids. It can't be just another day ever. It's every day we're trying to get them better.
Yeah, with the biography that the Indians put out when you were named as manager, it talked about your college experience, and then there's that gap before you started coaching in the minor leagues. And I was going to ask you specifically about that. That's fascinating that you were in baseball, left for a little while, and came back. And we don't really see that a lot, especially guys coming back. I imagine by that time you were in your 30s and well into a career type of thing.
Yeah, but I never left baseball. Let's be clear about that. This has been in
Right.
my blood. Like it's never stopped. But I just happened to be a high school coach, and I was doing that at that level. And it's funny. I look back, and I was actually cleaning my garage. That's something we try to do. I somehow move papers. I found all like the old papers of booklets I made for guys. Like I was coaching that tiny little high school in New Jersey that you had for 3 months. I was coaching them like a college or a professional team. Like we were like
Right.
really into it. It wasn't like we had players at this elite level. They were good players, but we were always teaching. Like I was always in the game. And I think sometimes the different levels helps you learn like the different gaps in their development of where they struggle, like how to coach different kids who maybe lack a skill. Our kids that we have, and people, you hear people watch a big league game and say, "I could hit 220 in the big leagues." No, you couldn't. It's an unbelievable level of baseball. These kids are so uber talented, and we never want to forget how hard the game is. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we do, but all the time, all the places that I've been have kind of got me to where I am, and I'm blessed with every one of them.
Um, is there one stop along the way where you can say, hey, you know, I think I can do this at the professional level. Yeah, it's coaching is something that I want to do. Was there some place that you said that the light bulb went on and said, hey, I love baseball. This is my life. I'm going to make it a career.
Well, it's kind of a deep story, but honestly, I always felt like I could coach at the highest level. I've always believed in my abilities as a coach, but it's about opportunities, it's about who you know and the
Yep.
connections and all that. And there are a lot of times I'm like, man, oh man, I feel like I have so much more to offer, and I have been given that opportunity um, to do that. But like when I was at the University of Texas, like just being around Augie Garrido and talking baseball with him was
Mhm.
like the game's not any different, at the highest level of college. And then, I mean, pros different, like, but I keep learning. Here's the thing, like, I felt like I could always do it, but I'm telling you, I learned every single day I walk in that building. And I love spring training because we have, hey, he played big league shortstop for, 8 years. This guy, like we last year, I did infield stuff, and I worked with three guys who played big league shortstop. So if you're
Mhm.
not going to learn from guys like that, like what are you doing in this game? Clint Hurdle talks about the white belt mentality. Like you always
Yeah,
got to be ready to learn, and that's it's so true. So I always believed I could be here, but I know I still have a lot of growing to do. I'm going to keep growing. I know I'm going to learn a lot this year as well.
awesome. Um, where do you fall on the analytics side? Because there's there seems to be an old school against analytics divide. Seems like folks that are having success are able to blend the two. Where do you fall on that scale?
100% a blend. Like, so my personality is old school. Like I was very old school. Like, hey, this is how you play the game.
Hmm.
But you'd be silly not to take all the stuff that we're learning and utilize that to help. So I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle of what it is. Like you have to be both, like you have to be learning every single day. So
Hmm.
sometimes obviously with being having a few more years on me, I got to really pay attention to the newer stuff and learn and see what I can utilize to help guys. Because here's the thing: one kid might you talk to him, and he might respond well to old school cues that really help him get to where he needs to be.
Hmm.
And then you have another kid walk in who's been in the lab for the last couple of years, and he thinks about everything a little bit differently. So learning that language that he speaks is also important because teaching is about connecting with the audience. And it doesn't matter what you know; it matters what you can get through to that player.
Hmm.
And I think that's really important. And you could have all that information on both sides of it, and if you don't connect with that player, you're not going to make any progress either. Before you show them what you know, you got to show them how much you care. So connecting
Right.
with that player is number one priority, and then adjusting to his learning style, whether that's new school, old school, or maybe a combination of the two of them. But you have to find a way to connect with them. But like I would never want to be on either side of the spectrum where like, hey, this is it. It's all old school. It's all new school. Because I
Hmm.
don't think that's it. I'm going to quote Clint Hurdle again. You have to be in school. You have to be ready to
Yeah.
learn every day.
It's interesting, and I think sometimes, the prospect junkies, fans of the big league team that are prospect junkies might lose sight that, yeah, these are statistics and 40 speeds and all the rest of this, but they're still, you know, kids right out of high school in some cases, right out of college, and they're, not to get, completely metaphysical, but their brains are still developing. So,
Hmm.
they're these a lot of times these are still kids that are not only learning their way on the baseball field, but it might be the first time they've been away from their parents ever, and they just,
Hmm.
I think there's some kind of disconnect between, okay, this guy was a first round pick with a $5 million signing bonus. Why isn't he at the big league level yet? Some guys just adjust to professional baseball differently than others.
Yeah, they develop on their time. Like we can push, we can prod, we can give them the guidance, but sometimes it's a light bulb moment where something clicks. It's funny. We had I don't know if you remember in Spokane, you had Isaac Collins,
Hmm.
who played in Spokane a few years ago.
Yep.
Actually, me and Robbie got an opportunity to go see him out at when they played the Mariners. We happened to be in Everett that week. We went out to see him. It's funny. He talked about his light bulb moment. He just said
Hmm.
that he was, he goes, it was the year we were together in Hartford. I was the hitting coach, and he goes, he had kind of a tougher year, but like the last couple weeks, something just clicked, and he understood how the process worked. And at that point, he stopped worrying about his results and started concentrating on the process. And he goes, there's a light bulb moment, but like you just never know when that's going to come. So you just have to be there every day.
Hmm.
And one day, hopefully that light bulb goes on, or over time it develops. And that's just our job, is to be there every day for these guys.
We had Charlie Condon here the last couple of years in Spokane. Obviously, got promoted last year. This is a guy, obviously, that's got all the talent in the world, huge numbers in the colleges. Maybe we haven't seen that power develop in professional baseball, but we saw a good approach, positive aspect. Maybe talk a little bit about working with him the last couple of years.
No, Charlie's immensely gifted. He's gonna play baseball for a really long time and be really good. And he did tap into that power when he got up to Hartford a little bit last year.
Hmm.
So he's just learning. And I think my favorite thing about Charlie is, obviously when he was at Georgia, the numbers we saw were ridiculous. He gets drafted
Right.
and kind of came up to Spokane pretty quick, and had, like ran into it a little bit. It was tough. He was kind of dealing with some hand injury. Um, but man, oh man, he just kept going in the process. Like he's really, really mature. And I think that makeup, which is, an old school scout term, but I think it's very valid, is really special. So I think he's just going to keep getting there. Obviously, double A is a year and a half or just out of college, in my opinion.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying, where we're rushing, we're getting them up there quickly. I just think he's going to develop at his time, and I think he's really got a chance to be a special player. I think he's going to play for a really long time. But the kid, the type of kid he is really special. And like it's funny when you are around this long enough, when you start to meet the young man you're working with,
Hmm.
sometimes like you can just say, I like the way he handled certain things, and like that makeup really comes
Yep.
into play when you're away for 140 games or 162 in the big leagues. If you're too emotional or ride that roller coaster, you're gonna have a tough time. But if you can stay even keeled, and that's what I love about Charlie, he's really good at staying pretty even keeled and just going in the process. And that's why I think, and he's obviously talented. He's gonna have a very nice career. I'm real excited to have had the opportunity to work with him.
I wanted to ask about another guy specifically that's getting a lot of attention in spring training for the Rockies right now, and he was with the Indians year before last for just a short stint on a rehab assignment. It was Zach Veen. I don't know if you've had a chance to work with him this spring, but obviously getting a lot of attention with his substance abuse problem, coming into shape, 40 pounds of muscle. Have you seen him? Have you talked to him? And what is your impression there?
I'm so excited for Zach, the not just the baseball player, but the human being. Like
Yeah.
coming to understand it for him, his faith, and he had, from what I understand, and we had a conversation, a light bulb moment where he said, "Man, I got to make some changes," and I'm so excited for him because underneath a lot of the stuff that Zach's had, Zach is just he's just a great kid. Like he's
Mhm.
like family to me. I love that kid. And I'm so happy he's moving in the right direction. Um, and he needed to put on weight because I think that was, to hear what he was really low, and I didn't see him at the end of the year, but he just looks great. He's in a great place mentally, and I'm so excited for him as a human being, as much as anything. I'm so proud of him, and I'm super excited to see his development this year and just where he takes us. But really, really happy for Zach and really proud of him.
The one bit of video that I've seen out of spring training from him, he looks like a different person altogether. And people say that about folks all the time, but he's let his hair go back to his natural color, and he's thicker, and it just he looks a lot healthier just from casual observation. I remember covering on the team here, and he seemed like a free spirit, happy go lucky guy. But to hear some of the troubles that he had and to see the video from spring training this year, it seems real encouraging for him.
No, it really does. It took me a second when he walked in the first morning. Nick Wilson, the hitting coordinator, was sitting there, and he walked in, and I literally like did like a double take. I'm like, "Who is this?" And then it took me a second. I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" And
Yeah,
it really like honestly, it did more. It did so much for my heart just to see how good he looked and the good frame of mind he was in, and I'm just so excited for him and continue to pray for him and be there if he needs to talk. And just, I'm just so excited for him. Great
awesome.
kid.
Awesome. A lot of changes in the Rockies organization this year. Um, I don't know how much of that uh, trickles to you, but do you have a perspective on the spring training this year with the Rockies and the changes in the organization wide?
Yes, and I'm getting to meet a lot of the front office guys, but what I will tell you is the camp that's being run by Warren Schaefer up there and his whole staff, just a great bunch of guys like just want to get better at baseball. Sometimes there's two types of things. There's a boss and there's leaders.
Mhm.
A boss has a title and tells you what to do, and their leaders. Like the way the leadership that staff has shown with those guys is tremendous. They're interacting, they're having conversations. It's like, to me, iron sharpens iron, and they're up
Mhm.
there just always talking baseball. They're coming down to the minor leagues. They're talking baseball with us. Very approachable. It's been a lot of fun to get to see. The vibe has just been tremendous. Um, you know, just the short conversations I've had with Paul and some of the people up there, they just want to be good, and they're ready to have conversations, and they want to turn this thing around, and it's really exciting. The vibe that is in that building right now, it's really exciting.
Awesome. And of course, there's plenty of recently former Rocky or former Indians that should make the big league team this year. So it's kind of a fun opportunity for Spokane folks. Usually a lot of the traffic that I get on our website comes from the Denver area wanting to follow the prospects. We joke that the people that are interested in the Indians come to the stadium, right? That they don't, but it's fun to be able to for Indians fans to see recent players doing well at the major league level.
No, it is fun. I mean, even as coaches, like my job is to help those guys get there, and even just this much of an impact on them.
Mhm.
It feels good because if we like, let's be honest. I'm 56. The dream of being on a big league field has been with me since I was 5 years old. So when you watch those young men get up
Mhm.
there and live that dream, like I get emotional. Like it is awesome to see them living their dream right there. Like
Right.
I mean, you see them up there and you're like, I can't believe I'm watching this. You got the high def TVs now. We can watch them
Yeah.
and watch them make their debuts. And it's just been awesome. And we have had some really great kids come through here in the last few years. So it's been fun to see that whole process happen.
I had a little bit of that last year myself with Stu Fleslin because covered the young man when he was in high school, knew the family a little bit, and then see him playing at at a Vista Stadium for the Indians. That was just real neat for me, and I'm sure real neat for his high school coach and for GSL baseball in particular to see a recent player from the league making their way through the minor leagues and getting a chance to play in Spokane.
And I'll tell you what, watching Stu, the way he dealt, so he was really, really good at the end of the year last year. I mean, he
Yeah.
was just carving teams up. So not just to be on that field, but like to shine on that field in front of all those people. I got goosebumps just thinking about that. Stu really had a good time with that. What a competitor, and that was fun. That was really fun to see, and his parents coming down and
Hmm.
family and the hugs. It was really cool.
Awesome. We know who your pitching coach is going to be. Blaine Beatty's been with the team for a couple of years. Obviously, you've had a chance to work with him. Your hitting coach hasn't been announced yet, but maybe talk a little bit about working with Blaine and being able to work, side by side there.
I'll tell you what, for a guy from New Jersey and me, and a guy from Texas, that's like my brother from another mother, man. He's great to work with. So like we just have some great conversation. We're really, really close. We talk in the off season a bunch. And he's a wealth of knowledge for these pitchers. So it's going to be great to work with him in a different environment. And and I'm going to learn a lot from him because, like we talked about earlier with the pitching, I'm going to lean on him. He's been around the game. I joke I had his baseball card when I was a kid. So it makes him seem a little bit older. I told him I used it in the spokes of my bike because I wasn't going to use it on my Steve Carlton. But he's just going to bring a lot to the table for the team and for me personally. Like I told him, I said, listen, I said I'm going to lean on you. I said I haven't done this at this level. I said
Mhm.
so we're going to have a lot of conversations, and it might seem redundant at times, but I want to make sure we're clear in how we're helping our guys get better and putting them in position to succeed. So
Awesome. When I first met Blaine, I gave him a hard time too because I'm from the East Coast and I remember when the Orioles drafted him. So I don't know if I made him feel older, or if I made myself feel older when I talked to him about that. But yeah, no, it's been great to get to know him on this level as well. Um, I'll let you go. I really appreciate your time today. Looking forward to working with you this year. And we'll see you here in a couple weeks up in Spokane.
thanks. Great talking to you, Dave. You have a great night. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. This has been the Press Box Podcast. I'm Dave Nichols with the Spokesman Review, and we'll see you next time.